All right, guys, this is Benji with BikeTrailerPlanet.com. Today, I've got 3 really surprising and not so obvious tips for how to stay safe while cycling and never have an accident. I don't want you guys to ever have an accident. And I talk with folks all the time and friends I'm trying to get into biking to work, and they're always like, "Oh, I can't do that. It's easy for you to say it because you're blah, 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 but I can't do it because it's too dangerous in my area." And I'm not trying to make fun of you. You're probably watching this video because you think maybe cycling is dangerous in your area, but I kind of have to laugh at it because the reason I say that is because I biked for years from New Jersey to New York City every single day to work, to Manhattan, through rainstorms, through snowstorms, through sleet, through freezing temperatures, through over frozen ice. And on top of that, New York and New Jersey are not the most friendly areas to ride bikes. I have ridden bikes all over the world, including where I'm living now, North Carolina, in big cities like Seoul, Korea, in Tokyo, Japan. I've ridden in Montreal, Canada. I've cycled a lot of places, and I have never felt more intimidated and in danger than I did when I was going from New Jersey to New York. However, I never ever had a crash or came even close to having an incident. So these are my tips for how to do that. But before I get started, I just want to welcome everyone to the channel. If you're new here, I just want to say thanks for being here. And this channel is really all about how to make cycling part of your daily life, how to make biking part of your everyday life and your commute so that it's just something that gives you energy and is exciting and it's healthy for you, and you can save money, save the planet, and save your health all at the same time. So if this video is helpful, please give it a thumbs up, helps me out, and also consider subscribing if you want to have more content like this about how to make biking part of your life. Go to BikeTrailerPlanet.com for more info on that. And so in this video, we have the 3 things that are not so obvious that I'm going to give to you, all right? And how I never had any crashes while biking for years from New Jersey to New York every single day, okay? The first one, these are not obvious, so I'm not going to say use your hands to signal and do that, wear a helmet. No, the not so obvious ones that people don't usually mention when they're talking about safety is number 1, you got to use lights, flashing lights. I'm not talking about little lights that just stay on, and I'm talking about flashing lights that are just beaming at people from the front and the back. And the key here, guys, is to keep it on all day, especially if you're riding in the city or around cars. Just keep it on even in the morning, even in the daytime, because studies have shown that even in the daytime it is helpful for people to be able to see, especially drivers, to be able to see you. You've got to keep them flashing in the rear and the back, and I'll put some links down below for the lights that I use and that I've used for years and haven't caused me any issues, right? So that's number 1. It's got to have the lights flashing, especially at night. I mean, that's obvious. But all right, second tip is that you have to pretend that you are invisible when you're biking. I know you don't want to say this because cyclists do have right of way. I'm not going to deny that. Cyclists do have right of way. They have the same rights as cars do. However, the unfortunate reality is that people are not looking for cyclists while they're driving. They're not. It's not a priority. When people are driving, they are simply looking for other cars. They're driving, they're following the signs, the rules of the road. They're looking for other cars. So when you're at an intersection or when you're just riding along beside a car, they do not see cyclists. That's the simple truth. They do not see them because of tunnel vision, because of the reality that they're not looking for cyclists. And so the result is that they just don't see us. It's not that they're a-holes or they're just inconsiderate. Some of them are, frankly, but the reality is they just don't see them. They're not looking for them. They're also not really looking for pedestrians. So you have to assume that you are invisible. You have to assume that no one sees you. If you assume anything, if you assume just because you're on the bike path or you're crossing or you're at a stoplight and you have the right of way, if you assume that they see you, you're in trouble. You're going to get hit. And this also goes for those little bells that people like using. I have never used a bell. And I know that's counterintuitive because I know that if I use a bell and I assume that people hear my bell, I'm dead. No, I'm dead. I'm gonna I'm gonna smack right into them. Because the reality is, especially when you're in a city, people who are in cars are not hearing bells. They don't know where it's coming from. People even who are other cyclists or other pedestrians are not hearing bells. So I never use a bell. I just assume they don't see me and they don't hear me, and I just stop. You just stop. You don't assume that someone's gonna go anywhere with you. That's the key here, guys. And I know it's hard to admit this, and we don't want to live in a world where we're invisible. I know it's unfortunate. But if you want to stay safe, and if that's a top priority for you when you're cycling, you have to assume that you are invisible to people. And if you do that, then there's no reason to assume anything, and you'll be fine. This will cover almost all of your bases in terms of safety, is this simple thing. The third thing that is also not so obvious, and I know I'm going to get some flack and some heat for this, is I really don't recommend using shades. Shaded sunglasses. And the reason for that is that when you wear shaded sunglasses, it is very difficult for people to read you. And that is very important when you're riding a bike. It is important for other cars and other cyclists and other pedestrians to be able to read what you're looking at, read your emotions, to be able to read and understand that I see you. If your glasses are shaded like this, it's very difficult for someone to know that you are aware of them and that you're aware that they're coming. So I don't recommend using shaded sunglasses. Glasses can be used and are actually beneficial for many reasons when you're cycling. They can be a little bit shaded, but I do recommend getting shades that are tinted but not completely blacked out so that they can actually see your eyeballs and communicate you in that way. All right. So that's all the tips I have for how to stay safe. If you follow those things, use flashing lights, make sure you're lighting up like a Christmas tree during the day, especially at night. Number two, pretend you are completely invisible and no one can hear you or see you at all. And number three, keep your eyes clear so people can see you and they can communicate with your eyes, right? All right, those are the tips. If they were helpful, give it a thumbs up to this video. Subscribe for more content about biking and making it part of your life. And also check out our website, biketrailerplanet.com, for all the info you need about making biking part of your life. All right, take care.